The Eagles just got some surprising news ahead of their season opener against the Cowboys, as not only did they get some good and bad news on the status of Landon Dickerson and A.J. Brown before the Week 1 matchup, including an update from A.J. Brown himself, but some recent news also suggests that a contract extension for Blankenship could be right around the corner. So in this video, I'll break that down. Plus, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Mailata, and others sent a message before the Birds season opener that you don't want to miss. And we also may finally have the answers as to who is going to start at several key positions on Philly's defense. So again, I'm going to talk about all that and more Eagles news starting right now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is officially game week in Philadelphia. And not just that, it's Dallas week, as the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles will drop the banner and kick off the season against their arch-rival Cowboys on Thursday night, and I, along with I'm sure all of you other Eagles fans, could not be any more excited for it. And you guys know I'm going to be covering all the news leading into the game, as well as giving my reactions and thoughts after it, so make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications so you don't miss anything all season long. But now, obviously, one of the big storylines going into the season opener is the unveiling of the Super Bowl banner, and, rightfully so, as it's a celebration of one of the greatest moments in Eagles history, and just one more thing that adds to the excitement of the new season. But while us fans are going to be fired up about that, it truly does seem like the players do not care. I mean, just listen to some of these guys like Cam Jurgens and Jordan Mailata.
I mean, still, who gives a damn if we're hanging something or whatever? We're playing the Cowboys, What other multiple motivations do we need, I think everybody's going to be pretty fired up.
It's been so consistent since the start of training camp that you guys are moving on. Has it been addressed in team meetings that you all are so spot on that no one cares really about last year?
I mean, yeah, it's addressed, but it's just kind of the personality of everybody in the locker room. We just know that whatever's in the past is in the past, and we're just time to move on. So it's a new year, new season, new team, so that's what we're really excited for.
You say it's the personality of the locker room. Who sets that? Who sets the tone?
It's not just one person. It's legit everybody that we have.
I think as fans, it is fun for fans to carry on that train, but as players, we have to move on. That is the only way we can improve or strive to perform this season, and we can't carry the baggage from last season, good or bad.
Was that something that was even addressed to the team?
Very early OTAs, and then the start of camp. When we just had our ring ceremony, that was like the Super Bowl. It was actually quite a visual representation of a car steering wheel, what we can see ahead, and then in the rearview mirror, it was the Super Bowl.
That was a visual representation. How do you guys keep focused on the road ahead when you're unveiling the Super Bowl banner at the link before the game?
I'll be honest, I forgot we were doing that till you brought it up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. It'll be
cool.
there.
I mean, we have to go through it, but again, it's just another opportunity for us to test our focus.
Don't look at it.
Just whatever you do, don't have the camera on me, all right?
So that was first day.
I'll be staring at the ground.
We do not care.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's clear. The Eagles do not care about the banner dropping, plain and simple. And, it's no surprise that the players are thinking this way. I mean, all offseason long, they've emphasized that the Super Bowl is a thing of the past, and they have to move on, as this is a new season with a new team, and they just got to take it one day at a time and stay locked in on the task at hand. So it certainly sounds like that's been the mindset ahead of the season opener, and even with the Super Bowl banner dropping, it'll be no different when Thursday night rolls around. So, I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love that. However, one thing that I don't love is the Birds' current backup quarterback situation going into this Week 1 matchup, as of course, the Eagles' primary backup in Tanner McKee has been dealing with some sort of finger injury for the past couple of weeks now, and that, combined with the struggles of the Birds' other quarterbacks in the preseason, of course prompted Howie Roseman to go out and make the trade to bring in another backup in Sam Howell. And now just a few days out from the Birds' season opener, it does seem like it will in fact be Sam Howell as the primary backup to Jalen Hurts for that game, as not only was Tanner McKee absent from practice on Sunday and also Monday while dealing with that injury, but he also spoke to reporters later in the day on Sunday where he revealed the true nature of his injury, as he apparently had fractured his thumb in practice a few weeks back as he hit it on a helmet right after making a throw. So yeah, I'd say it looks as if McKee isn't going to be available on Thursday versus the Cowboys. Obviously, again, he has not been at practice, and just doing some basic Googling, it seems like thumb fractures take about 4 to 6 weeks to heal, which, if that's true, McKee definitely is not going to be ready by Thursday. So hopefully Sam Howell is as caught up to speed as possible and ready to back up Jalen Hurts. Again, I'm definitely much more comfortable with him as the backup quarterback than I would be with somebody like Kyle McCord or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, so definitely that's a good thing. But again, still not great that McKee's dealing with this injury and definitely wishing for a speedy recovery for him. Moving on though, the rest of the injury news that the Eagles have gotten this week has been mostly positive, although the situation with left guard Landon Dickerson just took an unexpected turn. Now, of course, Landon is just coming off left knee surgery to repair an injured meniscus that he suffered back in the Birds' public practice, but most of the updates that we had gotten recently have been overwhelmingly positive, as Landon had returned to practice last week, and as recently as Sunday, reporter Jeff McLean had said that it seemed like Landon was a full go and trending towards playing in the season opener, which is crazy considering, again, he just got surgery.
To have Landon back at practice, he just had surgery 2 weeks ago. We were shocked to see him out there. Were you shocked?
Same here. I can't believe he was out there. This man is like Wolverine. Just superhuman healing cells, whatever you want to call it. It's just insane, this man.
However, as tough as he is, Landon just can't seem to catch a break, as just when it seemed like he was going to be good to go for Thursday night, he unexpectedly was not at practice on Monday. And a few hours later, the Birds' official injury report revealed that Dickerson missed practice not because of the knee injury, but because of a new back injury that I guess he suffered in practice on Sunday. So I would assume with that and the knee injury that Landon probably is not going to play in the season opener, which definitely sucks because he's an important part of the Eagles offense, and I'm sure he was working really, really hard to be ready to go for the opener. But, just hopefully the back issue isn't too serious and he can be back sometime soon. But moving on, that's not the only huge injury news that we got before the Birds season opener. As of course, A.J. Brown's another player that has been dealing with an injury for a while now, specifically a hamstring injury that kept him out for the majority of training camp, but after returning to practice last week, he did seem to be on track to play in the Cowboys game, and now, just a few days before the matchup, it has pretty much all been officially confirmed that A.J. will play. As when asked whether he would be able to go in Philly's season opener, AJ himself said he 100% would be out there. So, this isn't super surprising news or anything, considering that we got reports in previous weeks saying that the Birds were just being cautious with AJ's injury, but still, nonetheless, super exciting to hear AJ himself say that he is going to play, as obviously, we know just how big of a piece he is for this Eagles offense and team in general, just considering he's both one of the best receivers in the game, but he's also now a 3-time captain after being selected for the 3rd year in a row. Speaking of which, let's switch our attention over to one first-time captain in safety Reed Blankenship, as he was selected as one of just 2 captains on the defensive side of the ball for the Birds, which is significant as it shows that not only is Reed the clear leader of that secondary, but it also shows just how highly Reed's teammates think of him and how important he is to this Eagles defense.
Just being undrafted, working his way up, and now, everybody sees him as a leader. So he earned that role. And I'm just happy and excited for him to take on that role. Wear that C on his chest. I know he'll do it the right way, like he has done his whole career.
With Reed being selected as a first-time captain going into a contract year, that naturally caused a lot of people to ask the question of whether that could possibly mean that a contract extension is coming for Blankenship very soon, as that's something that I talked about all offseason, but it just never came to fruition. However, it seems like things have actually picked up there in recent days, with Phil Stiefel on Twitter recently posting that a source told him that Reed will be getting a contract extension very soon, while Anthony DeBona of the Philly Special Show noted that Reed actually recently quietly changed agents, and Josh Davis later went on to say that based on what he knows, it seems like an extension will get done sooner rather than later. So, assuming all that's true, I think that is fantastic news as, obviously, like I said, Reed is an important part of this Eagles defense, and I'd love for him to be here long term. So, hopefully that extension gets done very soon, and again, I think this is great news. But now, staying with Eagles safeties and also circling back to some more injury news, The rookie Andrew Mukuba did return to practice on Sunday and Monday and participated in some capacity, which that's significant considering that Mukuba hadn't practiced since he suffered a hamstring injury back towards the end of training camp. However, while Mukuba returning is certainly important, I still don't think it's going to be him starting at safety on opening night, and rather, I think it's going to be the third-year man Sidney Brown, as not only was he given a rest for the Eagles' final preseason game against the Jets, but he also has remained healthy all summer long and performed well. While Mukuba, he performed well, but he also missed a lot of time with injury. So my official prediction is that Sid is going to be the starter opposite Reed Blankenship on Thursday versus the Cowboys, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And same goes for all the other positional battles that have been up in the air all offseason long.
It's always competition for everything. I think it's unsettled to the outside world. We got it pretty much settled in here. I just like injury information, I'm just not sharing that information quite yet.
Yeah, so it's pretty clear that the Eagles do have their answers as to who's going to start at each of these positions. Now, it's no surprise to me that Nick Sirianni won't actually say who the starters are, but I do think we already have a pretty good idea as to who it will be. I mean, like I said, at safety, I expect it to be Sidney Brown due to the reasons that I just laid out. At linebacker, I expect it to be first-round rookie Jihaad Campbell due to the fact that 1, he was a first-round pick this year, 2, he had a really impressive summer, and 3, he rested in the final preseason game while Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was active. So again, I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point that Jihaad Campbell is going to be your starter next to Zach Bond. And then at corner, as much as I don't exactly feel good about it, it looks like it's going to be Adoree Jackson starting to begin the season, as not only did he rest in the final preseason game while Jakorian Bennett played, but he was also seen warming up with the starters at practice on Sunday. Now, some people have pointed to the fact that Bennett recently changed his jersey number to 23 as a possible sign that maybe he could start. And look, I'm not going to completely rule that out, but at least as of now, all concrete signs are pointing to Adoree Jackson being the starter opposite Quinyon Mitchell on Thursday night. Which again, I don't love, but it is what it is, I guess, and I'm not going to freak out until we actually get to see how it looks. And at the very least, Nick Sirianni did have some positive things to say about Jackson when asked about him on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he's always in the hip pocket of guys and close to the catch point. I also think he has a good knack for the football. Was a punt returner and has a good knack for how to take the ball away, how to catch the ball, those different things like that. I think he's competitive, and that's what you want. And I think we saw in the preseason, with him playing, that he'll tackle and he'll stick his face in there, so he's got toughness. And so you really want, as a receiver, you look at a lot. Is how close is he to me when I'm making the catch, and I think that he has the ability to shadow receivers, and we'll need those efforts this week against a really good receiving and tight end core.
Again, I'm not a huge fan of Adoree starting, and of course Nick Sirianni is going to say good things about him when asked about him, but that said, I do think we got a little bit spoiled just with how good our cornerback situation was last year, so, this is maybe a little bit more realistic as to what you see around the league. So I'm going to try not to freak out about it too much again until we actually get to see it. I will say, though, my one question is, does Jakorian Bennett still have a chance to compete to win that starting job as he just continues to get more comfortable and adjusted to playing in the Eagles defense, whether that's now this week or a few weeks into the season? Now, that I do think is a storyline very much worth following, especially after Vic Fangio's comments on Monday.
What has Jakorian shown you over the past 4 weeks?
Yeah, I like him. He's got good speed. He's got a good attitude. He's got a good football brain. Shown some good cover ability. I'm sure he'll be out there at some point this season. It could be this one too.
Yeah, so it definitely seems to me like Jakorian Bennett is very much still in the running there at cornerback. So again, we'll continue to monitor that situation as time goes on. Moving on though, the Eagles also made a few roster moves in the days leading up to the season opener against the Cowboys, specifically with guard Kenyon Green being signed back to the active roster, while wide receiver Terrace Marshall was added back to the practice squad. And obviously the big story here was bringing Green back to the active roster, which after hearing the Dickerson news, you gotta imagine that it has to possibly do with that. and could be a sign that Landon, again, is not going to play on Thursday. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see, and I'm sure more roster shuffling is probably still coming over the next few days. So we'll monitor that as well. Also, real quick, I wanted to highlight that the Cowboys made another big move in the days leading up to the matchup with the Eagles as they signed their cornerback Daron Bland to a 4-year, $92 million extension. Which, to me, that's just hilarious, considering that they refused to pay their best player in Micah Parsons the money that he deserved, so they traded him, and then they turned right around a couple days later and overpaid their other cornerback. So, you know, I'm not saying Daron Bland isn't a good player, but it's just crazy to me that Jerry was willing to do this deal, but not the Parsons one. Like, as an Eagles fan, this whole thing is just hilarious. But that said, there's going to be a ton more news to talk about in these next few days leading up to the Eagles and Cowboys season opener, and that includes some more major Cowboys news that I actually didn't get to talk about in this video, so I'll be covering that in my next one, so make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and also leave a like down below to show some support, because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes on today's video, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video going over some news from last week, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.